My ex and I stayed friends after breaking up 6 years ago because I helped raise his daughter who calls me auntie. Then his new girlfriend texted me out of nowhere demanding I back off and stop contacting him. Posted by you/dimension. Honest 732. Hiya there. I'm in a bit of a pickle and don't really know what to do here. A few days ago, my 30F, ex's 32M, new girlfriend, 27F, texted me out of the blue and told me, first politely and then not so much, to back off and not contact my ex anymore because, apparently, it's disrespectful, and I should be over it by now. Some context here: my ex and I broke up roughly 6 years ago, but we are still friends. Why? Because we didn't have a reason not to. Our breakup wasn't a dramatic one, just two people who'd been together since their late teens realizing that they wanted different things in life. But since we still got along great and he had his daughter, my niece, who I basically helped raise, we decided to stay friends. The reason his girlfriend's message surprised me as much as it did is that A, it came really out of the blue. I didn't even know she had my number. B, she has absolutely zero reason to be suspicious or anything. My ex and I still hang out, yes, but always with either my niece or other friends. And on occasion, we go to school events for my niece, like when she has a performance or something. I genuinely don't think I've done anything with him one-on-one since before our breakup, I think. The most one-on-one he and I ever do is when he drops off or picks up my niece. She has a room at my place, in case that matters, and we wait for her to get her things. But that's all. Also, his girlfriend and I have met before at my niece's and then my ex's birthday, and she was nice both times. We didn't talk much, just regular hi, how are you, nice to meet you, that's a lovely dress, bye, so I didn't think she had any issues with me. On top of that, I'm dating someone new, too. So yeah, I'm not sure what her deal is at all. And when she texted me, my rear was halfway to giving my ex a ring and telling him to maybe have a chat with his girlfriend because something is definitely wrong, but another part of me really doesn't want to interfere with his relationship like that. My ex is a good dude, and from what my niece told me and from what I've seen at the 2 birthdays, he really adores her. Like, he genuinely gets puppy eyes when he looks at her, which that stoic man never does. He deserves to be this happy, he really does. And most importantly, my niece likes her too. That wasn't the case with the 2 other girlfriends he'd had since we broke up, so this is a huge issue I need to consider, too. Telling him would put all of this in jeopardy, but what else am I supposed to do? I'm definitely not going to cut contact with either my niece or my ex just because she wants me to, no way, but she was rather insistent on the matter, so I don't think she'll leave it alone either. My flatmate is team tell him and get it over with, but she's, with love, a bit of a jerk, so I'm hesitant to take her word on anything. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He deserves to know if his girlfriend is talking to his friends like that or making accusations of flirting with him. Tell him. Ops response, that is the wildest part. She didn't even accuse me of flirting with him. If she had been able to genuinely tell me what upset her, then I could have cleared the air, but she really just wants me gone because she thinks exes have no business being friends. But yeah, I think I'll have to give him a call tonight, even if he does nothing, at least he knows. Commenter 2, send him the screenshots. But tell him he can step back from being a friend but not to take your niece away from you. This kind of stupid childish drama is not good for a kid. Ops response, oh, definitely. Not that I think he would drag my niece into this. He's not the type. Also, I'm pretty much the closest thing to a maternal figure she has and have been ever since she was 2, I think. So yeah, doubt he'd take that from her. And he knows I'd fight him if he dared to try, but I'll definitely make sure to mention it. Commenter 3. One of my non-negotiables is somebody whose ex still comes around the family, but I make sure to make that known at the beginning of the relationship. She shouldn't have came at you the way she did, but sometimes when it comes to an ex, you don't realize how disrespectful some of the things you two are doing can be seen by the new partners. Ops response, I guess that's fine, but in that case, it's really silly that she's only coughing that up now. I think they've been together for a year or a year and a half. And she's dating someone with a kid, too. Isn't an ex to be expected in that scenario? Granted, our case is a little special because my niece's mother bailed and I'm there instead, but still. Aside from that, I can see that disrespectful thing in general, but really not with my ex, and I genuinely, the most we do is hug hello and goodbye, and that's normal in my country. As in, I hugged his girlfriend too. Aside from that, I guess I usually pop by on Christmas for an hour or two because of my niece. But outside of that, there's nothing that I wouldn't do with any other friend too. I do think she knows that, however, because when I asked her to give me examples or a situation where I could have made her uncomfortable, she couldn't say anything. Just that I bothered her. Update 1, next day. Hiya again. I thought I'd give you guys a little update in case any of you are interested. First, I did end up calling my ex after I came back from work last night. I was insanely nervous because I still felt, and still do feel, bad about rocking the boat, but yeah, you guys were right. It should be his decision if he wants to cut me off, not his girlfriend's. Now, after some regular chatter, I went in and told him what happened and even read him some of the messages his girlfriend had sent me. He didn't say much as I did, not that I expected him to. That man has a daily average of 15 words. 25 if he's feeling very chatty. And mostly just listen quietly. I couldn't gauge his reaction, so I kind of ended up rambling and mentioning some of the things you guys had advised me to, how he can step back if that's what he needs. I'd respect his decision on that, but how I'd appreciate it if we could keep my niece out of it, and all that. The latter part is kind of where he spoke up, mostly to snort "you idiot," and then he told me he already knew that she texted me because my boyfriend told him. They're friends and co-workers. My boyfriend apparently noticed that I was more upset than I wanted to let on and asked my ex to call me because something happened between her, me, and you're my ex's girlfriend. Which makes sense, by the way. I've asked my boyfriend if my behavior with my ex was ever uncomfortable or inappropriate after the girlfriend texted me, just to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong without being aware of it. And I have been stewing over this mess for nigh a week, so yeah. Not surprised my boyfriend noticed something was up. My ex chose to wait until I said something myself before breaching the topic, though. My boyfriend didn't tell him what exactly happened, but my ex sort of figured it was something like her telling me to cut contact. He then, once again, told me that I'm an idiot and that I should have told him immediately, because this wasn't on. The two of them, so he and his girlfriend, talked about this before, even before they officially got together, and he'd made it very clear that there was no way in hell he'd be cutting me off because I've been his friend before I was his girlfriend, and I've stayed his friend for long after that, and because I'm basically my niece's mum or the closest thing she has to a mum. So before they started dating, he told her that she'd have to be cool with that. He'd understand if she wasn't, but he'd not change his mind because I've done the legwork and she hasn't. Now, according to him, she was absolutely fine with it, even told him that she really liked me and wanted to get to know me more after the birthdays I mentioned prior, so he doesn't know what has gotten into her. I asked him if she mentioned something else at a later time, like that something I did or said made her uncomfortable or feel insecure, but he said no. She also didn't hint at anything. And yes, I asked multiple times with examples just to make sure because, respectfully, my ex isn't great at taking hints. At all. His brain is wired strictly forwards, so anything slightly obscure does not ring any bells in his head. As we chatted on, still trying to work out what could have ticked her off, he suddenly got really quiet, and I was like, "Dude, you there?" And he then said that he may have an idea what did it for her. He didn't tell me what though, because he said it's a conversation he needs to have with her first, so I didn't ask further. He did assure me that it was nothing I did, though. We pretty much left it at that, and he told me he'd have a chat with her and see what's up and, depending on what it is, he'd let me know. So now we wait. Oh, and we both kind of hoped that she left it at contacting me and didn't talk to my niece about this. She's kind of been in a funk all week but keeps telling us it's nothing, so we kind of assumed it was hormones and stress and told her to take it easy. But since the dates of her bad mood and the girlfriend messaging me line up, we're a bit worried that she mentioned something or asked my niece to cut me off or whatever. Anyway, thanks for the advice you guys gave me and for telling me to just get it over with. I genuinely don't think I would have done it otherwise. If I hear anything interesting, I'll let you guys know, but until then, I think this is it. Thanks. Edit, more info. I think a lot of people are confused by my niece being my niece and also my ex's kid. Sorry, I should have reiterated that before things got muddled. A short stack of facts. My ex, 32M, is a teen dad. He had my niece while he was still in the equivalent of high school. He and I, 30F, got together roughly a year after she was born, but he only introduced me to her when she was 2.5. Since I was still pretty young then, I wasn't super comfortable with being called mum, so my niece ended up calling me auntie, my name. This stuck, and she still calls me aunt today, and I call her niece, but we're not related by blood. Her bio mum is not and has never been in the picture. I did all the mum things, from potty training her to seeing most of her first to going to her parent-teacher conferences and whatnot. This is why my ex says I'm the closest thing she has to a mother. And to finish it up, my ex and I didn't break up recently. We broke up 6 years ago because we wanted different things in life. We stayed in contact because we've always been friends first and, most importantly, because of my niece. These days, my niece comes to stay with me at least every other week, sometimes more, sometimes less, because my ex and I are both chill with her choosing for herself, and she has her own room at my place. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Sounds like your ex has a solid understanding of your role in his and your niece's life, which is great. His girlfriend's behavior is still a bit odd though, especially since she apparently liked you before. Glad you were able to clear the air. Op's response, yeah, it really makes this whole thing even stranger. I really hope he lets me know what it ended up being, just for my own peace of mind and, admittedly, because I'm a little bit curious. If she actually ends up telling him, that is. Commenter 2, your nerves were totally understandable, but it's good you took control of the situation. Now at least everyone's cards are on the table and your ex knows exactly where you stand. Ops response, yeah, not gonna lie, I'm a huge wuss where things like these are concerned. I'm fine arguing and fighting myself if no one else is involved. I do, however, genuinely hate being a bother to anyone and rocking the boat by tattling on her, but yeah, at least now it's kind of off my chest and out of my hands. My ex can probably try to work it out better than I can. Commenter 3, any way you can peek at your niece's phone? I'm not normally an advocate for this, but if your niece is young, what the girlfriend said could be causing harm. I think you need to find out. Ops response, generally, yes I could. And I wouldn't even need to peek. She's fine with us checking her phone after we explained that both my ex and I had our fair share of cyberbullies back in the day, the struggles of being or dating a teen dad in the late 2000s, and that we're maybe a bit paranoid of that happening to her, so she's fine with that. But she's with my ex right now, so I don't have access to her phone. I'll ask him to check, and if for some reason he can't, I'll have a check myself once she comes over tomorrow. Good thinking. Commenter 4, my fear is the girlfriend tried to make the niece decide between her and you. And did not get the answer she wanted. Ops response, oh dang, pardon my French, but she'd be so dumb if she actually did that. She's been with my ex, and thus in my niece's life, for like a year or so now. That's really not a lot of time in general, but definitely not compared to me. It'd be crazy if she actually expected any decent results from that. Commenter 5, could she be pregnant? If she was, maybe it triggered a reaction in her where she wants one happy family and have your niece as her daughter? Ops response, oh holy heck. I did not think of that. She probably could be. I'm not exactly asking my ex about his private life, but I'd assume that yeah, she could. But that'd be a whole mess because, from what I know, my ex doesn't want more kids. Final update, 1.5 months later. Hello everybody. I would start off by saying something like I don't know if anyone remembers me, but you've all been very vocal in my inbox this past month, so I'm just going to assume that yes, some of you do. This all got much more attention than I ever expected, so I'm honestly quite nervous to even update this because I just know the result really isn't what most of you wanted or were hoping for. But my boyfriend and my flatmate were having a field day with all your comments and messages. They asked me to say thanks to the person that came up with the biomum amnesia car accident theory. I don't know either. I stopped reading comments eventually, but they really enjoyed that one. So the two of them were basically bullying me into this. I'm not really sure where to start, so I'll just go by what I was asked the most, I guess. Oh, and before that, I kind of feel the need to clarify, I don't call my ex in real life. I call him by his name. Right? I got multiple messages asking me to stop calling him that since we're more than that at this point, so just to make that clear. I call him by his first name. Okay, now, first things first. We're all fine. My niece is fine. My ex and his girlfriend are kind of fine, and I'm grand as well. Thanks for checking in and even sending us those Reddit care thingies. You know what I mean. Then a lot of you were asking about my niece and if we ever found out what was bothering her, and yes, we did. My ex dropped off my niece at my place not long after I posted the second update. It was her turn to stay at my place, and she was still in a bad mood just like she'd been this entire time, if not a bit worse. So she didn't even stay to say bye to my ex. She just stomped off into her room and holed herself up for the day. My ex asked me if I could try and have a chat with her while she stayed over because apparently he tried and it didn't go over well. I think we were both kind of on edge because this isn't usually her style, but then again, teens will teen. Anyway, I told him I'd try and send him on his merry way for now. It took me a couple of days to actually get to the chatting. The first few days were really, woof. It's like I was sharing my house with a particularly angry velociraptor. I basically spent the entire time throwing snacks and little trinkets at her, hoping she'll not bite my hand off in the process. But eventually she cooled off enough, and with some fine needling and enough ice cream to feed an army, I managed to get some answers. Good news, the girlfriend did not talk to her. So lower thy pitchforks, Reddit. The woman is not a witch. Bad news, my niece did overhear the girlfriend bad-mouthing me on the phone, like some of you guessed. The girlfriend apparently didn't know that my niece was home. She came home early from school, and the girlfriend didn't hear her come in, so I doubt it was on purpose, but it still happened, and my niece did not take it well. She'd been in a bad mood anyway, just normal teen struggles, mind, including, God's help me, boy troubles. Does anyone have a handbook on how to handle that? Because I'm not ready, and since my ex took the news like a man going to war, I seriously doubt he is either. And hearing the girlfriend talk badly certainly didn't help. She really didn't want to tell me what exactly the girlfriend said, but it seemed to have been really below the belt. Just going by the fact that my niece was angry crying during that part of our chat. I didn't press her to tell me more since it just seemed to upset her, but I did ask her to please tell her dad what was said so that she could get it off of her chest, which she did do after both my ex and I promised that he wouldn't tell me either. I know that's kind of a letdown for some of you, but to be honest, I don't really care. If she wants to talk badly, she can. I'm just happy my niece doesn't have to carry that stuff around on her own anymore. Now, as for my ex and his girlfriend, difficult. It took a while longer for that to get resolved. I actually didn't hear anything back until quite recently, and the end result is kind of meh. The short of it is, I was catching strays. That's all. My ex eventually called me and told me that much. He also said that his girlfriend would like to talk to me personally and asked me to hear her out. Which fine, sure, I'll do that. So they rocked up to my place about a week ago, and we all had tea. Let me tell you, it was awkward. The girlfriend was really twitchy and nervous the entire time, and I think we spent 20 minutes just talking about the weather before she finally managed to cough up an apology. That apology was then followed by 50 more, no matter how often I told her that it was okay and that I was more than content to just move on. She was thankful, but she asked me if I'd let her explain herself, so I did. And yeah, turns out she didn't really have a reason to come at me, but she did have a reason overall for why she acted the way she did. The first and probably biggest reason I won't tell you, because it goes far beyond me telling you about something I was involved in or me sitting here like, well, she was being a bit of a jerk, what do I do? But let it be said, something sad happened. It wasn't anyone's fault. Nobody did anything wrong. It was just something tragic that happens to some people and couldn't be avoided. That's all. The second reason was that she apparently had a minor dispute with my ex about, kind of me, I guess. So from what the two of them told me, the girlfriend texted my ex not long before she first messaged me and asked him if he could pick her up from work because she wasn't feeling well. He told her that yes, he would, but it'd take him a while since he was about to drop my niece off at my place. Now, what he meant by that was, the drive will take longer than usual because my name lives at the other end of town. What she took it as was, my name is more important than you right now, so you'll have to wait. Honestly, I do not get it either. I wasn't even the reason he was coming over, so I'm not sure why that is how she took it. But okay, fine, she was in a state because of the sad thing. Maybe that's just how it felt at the time. And the third reason is that she feels kind of like the odd one out in my ex's, and thus partially my friend group, which was making her feel insecure. And that'd be fine. It's human. But her reason for feeling like the odd one out was apparently that she's straight and most of us are not. That surprised both my ex and I because, most of our friends are, in fact, straight. In our collective friend group, there's just me, my boyfriend, my ex, we're all bi, and one gay chap plus his boyfriend. The rest are straight as heck. Like I majored in business, have a wife, a dog and 1.5 children type straight. So yeah, we didn't know how she got that idea, and she was honestly very rattled once we cleared that up. All of that then collided into one big ball of frustration, and that frustration was then aimed at the easiest target, me. So she snuck into my ex's phone, got my number, and told me to back off. According to her, she immediately regretted it but didn't know how to fix it until my ex put her on the spot. She also reiterated that she really isn't bothered by me and that she was being truthful when she told my ex that she'd like to get to know me more. I told her that that was fine by me. Yes, this is me cutting her some slack. She overreacted and made a mistake. Things happen. But she might want to try and talk to my niece before that relationship completely evaporates. But once she's settled that, I'm down to meeting for coffee or hanging out as a group with my niece or whatever. And that is really kind of where we left it. I did ask my ex where his head's at while the girlfriend was off to the loo and how he's feeling, and he told me he's not quite sure yet. He does see where she's coming from, and he's happy that she owned up to her mistakes and wanted to apologize and all that, but he's miffed that she even reacted like that in the first place. You know, that she'd rather sneak into his phone and then complain at me instead of just talking to him. Oh, and he's extremely upset about the things she said about me when my niece overheard her, that is. I didn't ask him more than that because we'd promised my niece, but I did tell him to not let that be his deciding factor, if anything. Apart from that, I didn't pry for more. And that is pretty much it, guys. Sorry that I can't deliver the dramatic story filled with big reveals, harsh realizations, and angry breakups, but alas, real life tends to be a bit boring, and things just end with people having a chat over tea. My boyfriend offered to act out a dramatic scene where I break up with him because I realized I'm still in love with my ex in case anyone is interested, but unless that's it, this is where we part ways. Thanks for sticking around and for all the advice you've given me. I really didn't expect my little issue would get this much attention, so here's to me never underestimating Reddit again. Have a lovely day or night wherever you are. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I always love a side character that wants to bring the high drama. Tell your boyfriend he's got a Reddit fan. Ops response, oh no, you're so going to inflate his ego. He says thanks, though. He's already got a full script planned. Commenter 2, this was a great read. You handled it with grace and maturity. Good on you. You sound like a decent sort of person who I'd be chuffed to have a cup of tea with. Ops response, aw, thanks. I try, but honestly, I'm just too tired for drawn-out drama, I think. Commenter 3, so girlfriend had a miscarriage, asked boyfriend for a ride in aftermath while he was on the way to dropping daughter off, had an irrational hormone and grief-induced reaction and sent a couple of stupid texts. Doesn't excuse whatever vile rant she had about that niece heard that has probably torpedoed that relationship, niece and girlfriend. It's really hard to come back from hearing something said about your auntie or mom that is so bad you don't want her to ever know what was said. Commenter 4, sounds like girlfriend has been feeling insecure for a while and was looking for a convenient scapegoat. Hoping your ex realizes that niece has lost all respect for his girlfriend, and may actually reenact Jurassic Park if he tries to pretend everything is fine going forward. For real though, once the kid of someone you're dating has lost all respect for you, the relationship is basically toast. Everything will now be ex trying to choose between his girlfriend, an insecure adult, and his fierce teen daughter who clearly doesn't tolerate anyone talking badly about people she cares for. Please update if Teen Velociraptor makes a reappearance. Kids can be brutally hilarious.